Welcome to Forgotten Leaf Secrets. Imagine a farming trick so powerful it could triple harvests, restore soil, and free farmers from dependency. A method so simple, it required no chemicals, no machines, no patented seeds, just a forgotten wisdom buried in the earth. But instead of celebration, farmers who tried it were met with warnings. Whispers spread. Don't use this method. It's dangerous. It's forbidden. Why would anyone silence a technique that promised abundance? Why would farmers be warned against something that could change their lives forever? Tonight, we uncover the truth, the method that threatened billion-dollar industries. The secret buried not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. Long before modern corporations and chemical industries, farmers relied on the earth's hidden wisdom. In ancient villages, elders whispered of a strange practice, placing copper near the soil, leaving thin wires around roots, or burying fragments in the fields. They claimed the soil came alive, crops grew stronger, and harvests multiplied beyond belief. Archaeological hints remain fragments of copper tools found near ancient farmlands, inscriptions that speak of metal that feeds the earth, and folklore passed down through generations. To the farmers of old, this was not superstition. It was survival. A method that turned barren land fertile, that gave abundance when famine loomed. But as centuries passed, the story faded. What was once common practice became myth. And when modern science rose, these whispers were dismissed as folklore, stripped of credibility, and buried under the weight of progress. Yet the question lingers. Why did so many cultures, separated by oceans and centuries, all speak of copper's strange power? Why did farmers guard this secret as if it were sacred? And most importantly, why were later generations warned never to use it again? Centuries after the whispers of copper faded, curious minds began to rediscover the method. In the late 19th and early 20th century, small groups of farmers experimented quietly. They noticed something strange. Crops near copper wires grew taller, leaves stayed greener, and harvests seemed immune to drought. It was as if the soil itself had awakened. Word spread quickly among rural communities. Farmers shared testimonies in hushed tones. My wheat doubled in size. My tomatoes resisted blight. My soil feels alive again. For those who struggled against famine and failing land, this was nothing short of a miracle. But miracles rarely go unchallenged. Local agricultural boards dismissed the reports as superstition. Scientific journals refused to publish the findings, branding them unreliable. And when a few daring researchers tried to present evidence, their funding mysteriously vanished. The warnings began. Farmers were told, "Do not use this method. It is unscientific. It is dangerous." Yet no one explained what the danger truly was. Was it harm to the soil, or harm to the industries that profited from selling fertilizers and pesticides? Behind the curtain, a pattern emerged. Every rediscovery was met with silence, ridicule, or suppression. The method was not forgotten by accident. It was buried by design. And so, the trick slipped back into obscurity. Not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well, and threatened those who thrived on scarcity. When farmers began whispering about miraculous harvests, corporations were already listening. To them, abundance was not a blessing, it was a threat. Fertilizer companies, pesticide manufacturers, and seed monopolies thrived on dependency. Every failed crop meant another sale. Every weakened soil meant another contract. But a method that promised freedom from chemicals, that was unacceptable. The warnings grew louder. Agricultural boards issued statements. Do not use this method. It is unsafe. Scientists funded by corporate interests dismissed farmer testimonies as superstition. And behind closed doors, lobbyists ensured that research into copper's strange effects was quietly shelved. This was not about protecting farmers. It was about protecting profits. Because if a single wire could triple yields, what would happen to billion-dollar industries built on scarcity? What would happen to patents, subsidies, and monopolies that controlled the food chain? The battlefield was not the soil, it was knowledge. Corporations fought to control the narrative, branding the method as dangerous, unscientific, even laughable. And farmers who dared to speak out were silenced, ridiculed, or ignored. The truth was buried, not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. And in that silence, a power struggle unfolded, one that continues to this day. Even as warnings spread, not everyone obeyed. In quiet laboratories away from headlines, researchers began to test the forbidden method. They placed copper wires near seedlings, monitored soil reactions, and documented harvests that seemed to defy conventional science. The results were startling. Roots grew faster, stems resisted disease, and plants absorbed nutrients with unusual efficiency. Some experiments even showed crops surviving drought conditions that should have destroyed them. It was as if copper unlocked a hidden dialogue between soil and plant, a silent current of life. But these findings rarely reached the public. Reports were quietly shelved, funding for copper research mysteriously withdrawn. And scientists who dared to present their results were branded as fringe, their careers quietly dismantled. Farmers, too, shared evidence. Photographs of oversized vegetables, testimonies of doubled yields, stories of soil that healed itself. Yet, whenever these surfaced, they were dismissed as coincidence, folklore, or unscientific claims. The pattern was unmistakable. Every rediscovery was met with suppression. Every success was buried under ridicule. The method was not forgotten by chance. It was erased by design. And so the question deepens. If the evidence was so compelling, why were farmers warned never to use it? Perhaps the danger was never to the soil, but to the industries built on keeping farmers dependent. Decades passed, but the whispers never truly died. In remote villages, in forgotten corners of the world, farmers continued experimenting. Some claimed their soil healed itself. Others spoke of harvests that defied drought, and a few even documented results that mirrored the ancient stories. Then came the internet. Suddenly, testimonies that were once silenced began to resurface online. Photographs of oversized crops, videos of thriving fields, and forums buzzing with farmers asking, could this be the forbidden method? The secret was stirring again, not in laboratories, but in the hands of ordinary people. And yet, the warnings returned. Agricultural authorities issued statements. Do not trust these claims. Corporate voices labeled them dangerous misinformation. But the more they tried to silence, the louder the curiosity grew. Independent researchers began testing quietly, publishing small studies that hinted at unusual soil conductivity, unexplained plant resilience, and harvests that seemed to bend the rules of biology. Though dismissed by mainstream science, these findings echoed the ancient wisdom. Copper was not superstition, it was a key. The revival was fragile, whispered from farmer to farmer, shared in hidden corners of the web. But it carried a dangerous promise. If proven true, this method could shatter the foundations of modern agriculture. And so, the question deepens. Is the world ready to rediscover what was buried? Or will the warnings grow louder, silencing the method once again? As whispers of revival spread, a few daring scientists began to look closer. They weren't funded by corporations, nor backed by powerful boards. They were independent, curious, and unafraid. What they found was unsettling. Copper seemed to act as more than just metal. Placed near roots, it altered soil conductivity, creating microcurrents invisible to the eye. Plants responded in ways science could not fully explain. Faster germination, stronger immunity, and yields that defied conventional limits. Some researchers described it as a hidden dialogue, electricity flowing through soil, awakening dormant nutrients and unlocking growth patterns nature had concealed. Others speculated about resonance, claiming copper amplified the Earth's natural frequencies, allowing plants to thrive in harmony with unseen forces. But the deeper they dug, the stranger it became. Seeds exposed to copper fields sprouted with unusual vigor. Crops resisted pests without chemicals. And in rare cases, harvests tripled, echoing the ancient testimonies. Yet mainstream science refused to acknowledge it. The data was too disruptive, too dangerous for industries built on fertilizers, pesticides, and patented seeds. Instead of answers, the researchers faced silence. Instead of recognition, they faced ridicule. And so, the mystery grew. Was copper unlocking a forgotten law of nature? Or was it exposing a truth too powerful to be allowed? The farmers were warned never to use this method, but the evidence suggested something extraordinary was being hidden in plain sight. If this method truly works, the consequences are staggering. Imagine a world where farmers no longer depend on chemical fertilizers, patented seeds, or costly machinery. Imagine harvests tripling in regions plagued by famine, soil restoring itself without intervention, and communities breaking free from corporate control. For small farmers, this would mean independence. For nations struggling with food insecurity, it could mean survival. And for billions of people, it could mean an end to hunger. But for the industries built on scarcity, this is a nightmare. Fertilizer giants, pesticide manufacturers, and seed monopolies would see their empires crumble. Billions in profits would vanish overnight if farmers embraced a method that required nothing more than copper and soil. This is why the warnings persist. Not because the method is dangerous to the earth, but because it is dangerous to those who profit from controlling it. Every rediscovery threatens the balance of power. Every whisper of revival risks exposing the truth. Abundance is possible, but it has been deliberately hidden. And so, the struggle is not just about farming. It is about freedom. It is about who controls the food we eat, the soil we depend on, and the future of humanity itself. The forbidden method is more than a trick. It is a revolution waiting to be unleashed. Despite the warnings, despite the ridicule, farmers never truly forgot. In villages across continents, stories still circulate of families who dared to try the forbidden method. They speak of soil that healed itself, of harvests that fed entire communities, and of resilience born not from chemicals, but from nature's hidden power. These farmers were not scientists, nor revolutionaries. They were ordinary people, driven by necessity, guided by whispers of ancient wisdom. And yet, their courage carried a dangerous truth. Abundance was possible without dependency. Generations passed, but the warnings echoed louder. Do not use this method. Still, in the quiet of night, some farmers experimented in secret. They risked ridicule, they risked punishment, but they believed in the earth's memory. And when their crops thrived, they shared the secret only with those they trusted. This resilience became a silent rebellion, a defiance against the industries that profited from scarcity. A reminder that the soil itself holds forgotten wisdom waiting to be rediscovered. The emotional weight is undeniable. For every farmer silenced, another dared to remember. For every warning issued, another harvest proved the truth. And now, as whispers grow louder once again, the question is no longer if the method works. It is whether the world is ready to embrace it, or whether fear and profit will bury it once more. We began with a warning. Why were farmers told never to use this method? Across history, we uncovered ancient wisdom, rediscoveries, suppressed experiments, and corporate resistance. And now, the truth is undeniable. This was never about danger to the soil. It was about danger to control. A simple wire, a forgotten trick. A secret that could free farmers from dependency, silenced not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. The soil remembers. Copper carries nature's hidden energy. And farmers, the guardians of forgotten wisdom, have always known. Abundance is possible, if only we listen. So what happens next? That depends on us. Do we allow this secret to remain buried, hidden beneath profit and denial? Or do we dare to remember, to rediscover and to share what was silenced. Because revolutions don't always begin with machines. Sometimes they begin with whispers. Sometimes they begin with farmers. Sometimes they begin with a single wire in the soil. This is the method they warned you never to use. This is the secret they didn't want you to know, and now it is yours. Like and subscribe to Forgotten Leaf Secrets for more hidden plant wisdom and forbidden science uncovered.